Hello and welcome to Xena Warrior Podcast Minisodes. My name is Vera, and I'm joined as always by my two colorful co-hosts, Katie.
Hello.
And Livy.
Hi.
What have we been up to since we last talked to you guys?
We occasionally leave the house.
Sometimes. We have cool Star Wars face masks that we wear.
Yeah,
That's true.
And then when you're like can't breathe in them, you really do sound like Darth Vader.
That's why Darth Vader's on the cheeks.
Been experimenting a lot with various internet trends, like the Dalgona coffee?
Yeah, something like that.
The fluffy coffee.
Fluffy coffee.
Yeah, you make it with a hand mixer. That's
Dalgona.
Dalgona, right. That turned out, it was fluffy.
Yeah.
It's
calls
very
for
sweet.
quite a bit of Nescafe or instant coffee. So it was very strong.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that was my favorite creation. Once we got the Nescafe, which is instant coffee, when I was in Greece, like when I was little, or like I was probably the age when I was watching Xena, TBH.
Oh.
Well, actually, no, I know that because I was obsessed with Greece, and therefore I was very adamant in being in Greece.
So wait, are you saying you made your parents go to Greece for Xena?
I mean, they didn't know that, but I knew that.
They're like, wow, our daughter is really interested in...
I mean, yeah.
I mean, you were. You actually were interested.
But because of Xena, of course.
Greece, yeah.
But only because of Xena. And I discovered that, like, their easy drink there is a frappe. It's not a frappuccino like you get here or whatever. But it's this delicious concoction that has like a frothiness on top and it's like iced. Mm-hmm. And you can get it everywhere. And like one time we were like, what is this, sir? Who is making this for me?
Magical frothy beverage. What could it be?
He was just like, this is just instant coffee.
Yeah.
And I was like, he was like, Nescafe. And we were like, what?
Yeah.
So, like, the secret ingredient to this delicious thing is Nescafe, and if you can get it at your local store, an instant coffee of any kind would work, probably.
But get Nescafe.
You can easily create a Greek-style frappe for yourself, and then you feel like,
Greece.
you feel like Xena and Gabs are at a local coffee shop drinking it.
Coffee shop AU.
Yeah.
With their frappes.
For sure. So, Katie actually concocted this for us.
It's really easy. You can like Google it, but yeah, it's like 2 teaspoons of instant coffee.
Yeah.
You like just put it in some kind of cup or a shaker, like a shaker cup, or if you have like a cocktail shaker, you can put it in there. Like put that in there, put as much sugar as you want. I did like a teaspoon. You could do more, you could do less, you could do none. And then just like a little bit of water, like 1.5 ounces, just a teeny tiny bit in there. And then you put the lid on, and then you shake it up until it's all frothy. And then in the glass, you have a bunch of ice, right? And then you can either have it, just plain black, just dump it in, like try and like get the coffee part, and then the frothy part, blomp. I put like milk in first.
Yeah.
Some people wait till the end to put the milk in.
Some people don't even have any milk.
People don't have milk. So I put like a little bit in the bottom of the glass, then put the coffee in the frothy stuff, blomp, and then you fill it with a little more water or milk.
So good.
And it's beautiful and tasty and delicious, delightful, refreshing coffee beverage.
Yeah.
Pretend you're Xena and Gabs in the coffee shop.
And it's perfect for summer. So there you go. The other thing that happened last weekend, I believe...
I don't know what time.
What is time?
What is the time? Is that, well, you should know because for sure this happened as we would have been in California doing Xenite Retreat
Last weekend.
Last weekend. But we were not, and neither was anyone else.
Correct.
But we did do it
We were.
virtually.
Yes.
So even you could be doing Xenite Retreat from your own house.
It was really, really fun.
It was really amazing. Penny, as always, a true superhero. We got hit with this unexpected situation, and everyone's hearts were broken to not be there in person. But she made such an amazing virtual retreat happen for us. It was super fun.
Renee O'Connor zoomed in. It was a huge moment.
And she has a cat named Stevie Nicks, even huger.
My God. Stevie Nicks is a star, let me tell you.
I also really loved Alex Tiding's
Oh my God,
talk.
love her.
She was wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I hope she will actually be a guest at
Oh
next
my
year's retreat.
God.
Seems that way.
It seems
Yeah.
like that's gonna happen. It's very exciting.
Totally awesome. And it's always really fun to see celebrities, talk from their houses.
Yeah, I'm enjoying that immensely. This whole shenanigan. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just love to kind of, see what people have in their bookcases.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what their lounge wear is like.
Yeah.
Alex Tiding zoomed from her bed.
Very nice.
It was very cozy.
And Katie, you said she zoomed in from somewhere in New England
she said she was in Massachusetts.
Yeah, and you immediately were like, yes, Massachusetts house, Massachusetts light switch.
Oh, I don't. Yeah,
Massachusetts
I was just,
terrible internet.
The light switches are annoying. I'm sure that's an everywhere situation.
Not
But
in
you
New
turn it off
York.
and everything goes off, and it's like,
No.
which is technically what a light switch is. It's I can't explain it. Don't worry about it. Don't
People
worry about
who
it.
live in New England will know what you're
Don't worry
talking
about
about.
it.
though.
I think people that just have this kind of electrical wiring understand.
Well, she was
I guess
great.
old wiring.
Yeah. She was really, really awesome. A highlight. Another highlight I thought was the the virtual Howl at the Moon.
Oh yeah.
You would never, on paper, you would not think this would be good. Like, especially having attended the real Howl at the Moon was just like this transcendent experience. It's so amazing.
Yes.
The feeling of togetherness and just
Yes.
kind of uncaged joy. I was like, those are not feelings we can have in lockdown. But amazingly, we did.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to exactly explain it.
Zoom dance party.
But
It was a Zoom dance party. It was so fantastic. So there was like an amazing playlist provided by our local Xenite. Well, she's not local because she lives in Houston, but DJ Andy Pan, shout out.
Hey!
Woo! The playlist was great, and everybody brought it. It was just amazing to see. It was kind of like, when you go to a club and they do like the circle and then people kind of go in the middle.
Yeah, I mean, that was how it was
that.
structured. Because everybody kind of got their moment where their Zoom was featured.
Yeah.
So you'd sort of be like trying to conserve your energy, dancing, like watching and waiting for your turn to really let loose.
Yeah, exactly. And then everybody was like in the chat commenting and like supporting each other. It was so amazing. Jody with her Malibu shots. That was brilliant.
Us with our Malibu.
Yep, absolutely.
Penny dancing with toilet paper,
I mean,
which
yeah.
was like such a power move.
Funny backgrounds.
Hopefully people don't mind us sharing.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. I think it'll be fun. But one of my other favorite parts was, shout out Andy from England, being like waking up because of the time difference.
Right. Which I think a lot of
early
people
morning.
were dealing with calling into virtual retreats. So props to everybody.
Yeah,
who's just,
but
like,
it's just
losing
amazing.
all kinds of sleep.
I know, and it's so great. Like that's how you feel that togetherness in the situation where, like, you're just waking up. It's like 6 a.m. and you have to like zoom in to be like, hey guys, howl at the moon. Meanwhile, people in America are like, yeah, what's up? Unz, unz, unz. So it was really sweet to be a part of that.
Yeah, and it seems like it was really successful. They're talking about doing, just every, like, at the halfway point between now and the next retreat, doing another virtual, like, call-in sesh, which would be awesome. Yeah, it really was, I think, a hit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so thank you again, Penny, for doing that, and we really enjoyed ourselves.
Yeah.
Shall we move on to our topic of the day?
Yes.
And what is that?
Okay, so this week we are doing another one of our Minisode topics suggested by our patrons.
Woo! Patrons, thank you.
So Robin has a first choice and a second choice. We're actually going to be recording her second choice, and that is the new Xena Comics.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This is something that we've been excited to get to for a while because we've been hearing about the new Dynamite series for basically since it came out. I know that the fandom was really excited.
Yeah. We've definitely heard rumblings.
Not only heard rumblings, we saw the scans. We
had spoilers. We had some spoilers.
We saw the relevant panels making the rounds, and that certainly got our attention.
Yeah. So this is a 6-volume collection.
Okay. So this is the most recent one. By new, we mean the one that came out like last year?
Yeah, I think 2019 fall.
It's called Road Warrior by Vita Ayala and with art by Olympia Sweetman, Vasco Georgiev, Jordi Perez, Erica Durso, Rebecca Natalie, and Ariana Meyer. I could be mispronouncing all of these names, but I did my best.
You did good.
There's some really amazing cover art for the book, too, by...
Yeah, I have to say, like...
David Mack.
The watercolor.
Yeah, I loved those.
They're gorgeous.
Yeah.
Honestly, it may be my favorite thing about this series.
Yeah,
I
they're
kind of
really
have
lovely.
to agree
Because they're special. You know, I feel like a lot of the other art and the cover art, which you can see alternates inside the book, is a little more, I think, conventional.
I really love... Well, I mean, all of it is good, the variant covers. I really love the ones by Rachel Scott. There's, like, one in the back in particular that...
This is the one with Xena and all the blood
it's
on
dirt.
her sword.
She's got dirt all over her arms.
Yes.
You can't see her face.
I
It's like
know
half
the one.
Argo.
That's straight up blood.
It's blood, dirt.
Yeah.
Fine. Even better. I thought it was dirt, but fine.
Yeah.
I love the
Even
angle
better,
on
even
that.
better.
Yeah, how
That's
you
like a
can't
very
really see
cinematic.
her face.
But
it's
the
super
watercolor,
dramatic.
the regular, the
Yeah.
watercolors are beautiful.
Yeah, I just think they have such like a different look, which I really appreciate that they've kind of found. Like, you know, I feel like it's different for Xena and just like different for like comics. And you know, I say that as someone who doesn't really know anything.
Let's start there.
About comics.
Let's start there. We have been requested to talk about comics, and we don't know anything about comics. But I want to put that out there right at the beginning.
That's an important disclaimer.
Let's go in order our history with comics.
okay.
That's a great idea.
Sure.
Okay, just so you guys know how we are just not great about it.
I feel very.
Crickets about
I like by saying that. I just mean like I feel very unqualified to like speak to like the art, to speak to like all kinds of stuff because I just like don't have very much to compare it to because I've only read like some.
So what have you read?
Yeah, I don't have like when you say history with comics. I don't have like a. I didn't.
You don't have a memory of like the first comic you ever picked up.
I probably was like the X-Files Volume 1.
What? They had a comic?
Yeah.
Nice.
What?
Yeah, I bought it at CVS. Walked from my house
Jeez.
to CVS, and it's all wrapped up somewhere. I don't know where.
Oh my God, find that.
Maybe it's like $80 now or something.
Yeah, I want to see that.
I don't know where that shit is.
Didn't they like redo those comics too? Probably.
But again, it's obviously
Sure.
like a tie-in to a 90s show.
Always with us.
And like probably Buffy. I probably read some Buffy.
Oh,
ones,
you did
You were
the
reading
Buffy season 8.
Season 8 comics at one point.
Oh
weren't you?
yeah, and those are in some. No, they're like a continuation of Buffy. Yeah, obviously they are season 8. Yeah, I read some of that, and then like stuff that I've liked recently. Saga, I really enjoyed. Paper Girls, I enjoyed. That's a like end of list.
Wow, that's a lot.
Like I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there's other stuff.
Okay.
Do you guys think of any that I've read?
I don't know what
I do feel
read.
like you've read more than I have. Didn't you? Weren't you into Runaways?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it was because like Joss Whedon had started.
Yes.
Did
The
one
shameful
run of it.
past in which we actually looked
Did-
for Joss Whedon things and
Like,
consumed them.
Yeah, I'm sure I read like.
I'm
some
gonna watch his new
Firefly
show.
comics,
Oh yeah, I'm gonna
too.
watch his new
Oh,
show
yeah,
too.
me too.
Obviously.
Well, it has I love her, and now I can't remember her name. Shit, Jenny on Outlander.
Oh yeah, she's
Laura
great.
Donnelly?
Yeah, she's great. Yeah.
Yeah, and like I feel like I've read like a Marvel here or there when I've been interested in something or other, but I'm hard pressed to recall what that is. Like I'm telling you, this is how bad it's embarrassing. It's partly embarrassing. A lot of our friends really love comics.
Yeah.
Captain Marvel. I read Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
The Kelly Sue DeConnick Captain Marvel was really fun.
Yeah.
Now I feel like I need to go look at what is in the house.
For me, I I'm very much not a comics person, and it's one of those things where like I've always wanted to be. It's like you're like, oh man, I wish I.
Because you
I feel like
you're not a full nerd.
Yeah, there's something there's clearly something that I'm not like getting. And I keep trying to get it. I've come close, I feel like, to it, but it just...
Did you ever read Bone? Didn't someone give you Bone claiming it would make you a comics person?
It was my ex-boyfriend, and I was like, thank you. I instead took his copy of A Dance with Dragons, and I much appreciated that much more than that. And honestly, just looking at Bone, I was like, no, this is not for me, because not only like the art really matters to me. Like I understand, like to me. From like a film perspective, like it looks like storyboards, right? So like I only look at it like, oh yeah, like I mean I'm sure you're supposed to.
I have the same issue, I think, where I want it to like kind of represent kind of a movie happening in my head, and it somehow doesn't. It never quite clicks.
You're supposed to, that's how. Like I once read like a reading comics 101 and how you like fill in your imagination in the gutter, which is the stuff in between, but it doesn't. I have a hard time.
I find it much easier to have that experience, like reading an actual book, than comics.
Well, yeah. I mean, you're just trained for books because you're just such a book nerd. But like for me, I remember when I was newly arrived in America, going to the local library and kind of like, finding like I really like the R.L. Stein Fear Streets because their covers were all like cinematic.
I preferred Goosebumps
because you like stuff about kids, and I was like, ooh, those 16-year-olds! Oh my gosh, they're so adult.
Bad Hair Day. That was some great body horror. Seminal.
Wait, which ones did you say that you liked?
Fear Street. Because it was about the teens versus the tweens.
Christopher Pike.
Yeah. Were you into Christopher Pike too?
Shoot,
he was too adult for me.
If you I loved Christopher Pike. Shit. I keep saying that because like I feel like I have all these things and I can't remember them. There's a fun podcast about these books and I can't remember the name of it. Go find it, everyone.
Just Google that.
Well, there was like a section in the library that was also like you could get magazines, I guess, and on the bottom shelf you can rent comics. And I didn't know what they were, but I was like, ooh, pictures. So I remember like taking out some like I later found out it was Fantastic Four comics.
Oh wow.
So like I had seen those. And then I was introduced to like X-Men via the cartoon, but then later found them like sitting around. I was like, oh, I guess they're comics.
I read some X-Men. As we're sitting here, all the things that I've read floated into my brain.
I knew Katie had read more comics.
Like Jean Grey stuff.
Don't forget the very important Bazooka Joe comics.
Oh my god, I did read some of that.
Yeah. What?
And the bazookas.
The gum?
Yeah, the gum
comics.
It was like wrapped in a comic.
Before when I said Kelly Sue, see, this is what happens with me, is that I'll like something, like I really like Bitch Planet, and I really liked Pretty Deadly, those are both her, and you'll get like I don't buy like issues, and then I'll get like the volume, and then I just like don't go back. I don't remember to go back and get like more, so I like start all these things, and then I don't know, I feel like I don't. It's a costly hobby.
It is a costly hobby. I remember, so like you mentioned our friends were really into Marvel comics, specifically like the Kelly Sue stuff, and I was like, oh, I'm clearly missing something, so I better read it because they love it so much. So prepping for Captain Marvel, like we read her, because I guess I was under the impression that it was going to be based on her run. That was fine, yeah. And then Jessica Jones, like when the Netflix show dropped, I became really obsessed with it.
Cool.
And went back and read the original comic, and it was that thing where I was like proud to say like, ooh, the show is better than the book for sure. It was. It totally was. It totally was. Like a much better adaptation. Which is what you kind of ultimately, I think, want as a person who's making the show. You want to make it better somehow. Like, but anyway, I digress. That rabbit hole like introduced me to like new characters, and the only like true comic thing I've ever done was like I went into some kind of local visiting, I think, upstate New York, the Finger Lakes area. There was a comic shop, and I was like, oh my God, I'm drawn to this, like, Spider-Woman comic, and I bought it. And that's, like, the only comic thing I ever did, just, like, purchase my own comic book.
Oh, good job.
So, yeah, I highly recommend it, too. I don't really know much about what surrounds this volume, but it's the Spider-Woman Agent of Sword by Brian Michael Bendis and art by Alex Maleev. So, highly rec, good shit. And now I still don't know much about comics because we definitely dropped any interest whatsoever, partially because, I don't know, Captain Marvel wasn't my jam.
The movie.
Yeah. Yeah. We still have a lot of friends who are obsessed with them. And
yeah, which is totally cool. Sometimes something is just not our thing, but we do keep trying.
Yeah,
we do.
I'm sure we'll keep trying.
Yeah,
things will be put in front of us, and we'll be told to read them.
Like it's the Xena Comics. Like the Xena Comics.
We did it. Let's talk about it. Yeah.
So we did read the newest one. There wasn't a newer one before the newest one.
Right, also for Dynamite.
Also Dynamite for 2018, which we did not read. We read this newest one, though perhaps in the future we will read the formerly newest one.
Or maybe even some of the older ones.
Yeah, there's a lot from, like, ye oldie times that, you know, we would have to, like, get our hands on that we have not read. Like, I, for one, am very interested in, at one point, there was some kind of little crossover with Evil Dead. That seems hilarious.
That's pretty recent, yeah.
Yeah, I would like to see that. I would like to read that.
I want to read the one where I have a phone background, which is Xena and Gab's Crucified. Of course I would have this.
Of course, on brand.
And I'm like, I should read that one.
Yeah.
that
idea.
one sounded
from
kooky.
Yeah. 2000.
I think that's when Dark Horse was doing her
run.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So maybe at some point we will get to some of those. However, this will be like the new, hopefully that was what was being asked for, was the newest one, which the volume that we have is the first 6 issues. I'm not sure if there will be more or if there are more planned, but they're collected in one volume called Road Warrior with the very, very beautiful watercolor cover.
Love the reference to Mad Max.
I know. I wish it was Xena fighting in like a Thunderdome, which is not Road Warrior at all. But still,
I feel like that was like interesting. I had to think about it for a minute, like why it was referred to as that. So like in each of the 6 issues, Xena and Gabs kind of end up in a different place. It has like an overarching story that involves Discord.
It's kind of a road trip. I guess that's the idea.
So I think that's what it is.
Travelogue.
They just end up like bouncing around from place to place. So like, what is the overall like story?
Sure.
I guess don't do too many spoilers in case people haven't read it and want to read it.
Yeah, we won't like solve the problems, but basically, Xena and Gabs are come across this like village where there is a problem. The youngest members of the village have like crazy super strength.
Which doesn't seem like much of a problem to me.
But it's weird.
That's crazy.
And the older, like the golden years population of the town, specifically one lady, is like, Xena and Gabs, you have to help because there's some crazy shit happening. Our patron goddess, Discord, is going to take these kids, like, tomorrow.
Interesting.
You better help.
Immediately you're like, Discord?
Really?
Okay.
Her?
All right.
Yeah, a little bit.
So that's, like, kicks it all off. And
sorry, that was way louder than I
Vera,
thought.
what are you drinking, basic bitch?
It's not even a beer, it's a White Claw. I'm a basic bitch.
Mango, though. It's good.
So good.
So that kind of is like the crux of the thing is they get involved with this village problem that has been caused by Discord.
Yeah.
Long story short, for the first one, it ends up being that Discord misbehaving gets banished by Zeus.
Yeah.
And Xena and Gabs thus have this like kind of endless adventure because they get sent with her to like the ends of the earth.
The weird part.
Yeah, I'm not sure why they get sent
by
along.
Zeus.
Yeah.
And Xena has a cape when they get there.
No, Discord puts it on her.
Cape,
Oh,
yeah.
gave her the
She's
cape.
like, you should have
Yeah.
a cape, and she like stuck it on her.
Yeah.
Okay, it seemed to me that the cape just appeared, and I was like, I'm not complaining about this.
Yeah, so that's the first one. So there's one issue where they're in like an ancient Mayan civilization, and then they end up Russia?
Fucking Russia, baby. I knew.
Kind of like bouncing their way back to Greece. Then some kind of like vague place
Yeah,
that I
sort
don't
of
really remember.
Carpathian Mountains, Transylvania. I'm
Yeah,
not sure what
that's-
it is.
that's exactly-
That's the vibe.
Kind of bringing that girls just want to have fun energy for a hot minute in there, and then they eventually, spoilers, get back to Greece on this adventure.
It's a little bit of an excuse to have, a bunch of mythologies that hadn't been featured on the show.
Yeah.
Which
I thought that
I
was
think is
cool.
one of the stronger things about this storyline is seeing some cool shit.
Yeah, so I particularly liked how they had the introduction of these other gods specifically.
Right.
Like I loved the Mayan gods, and then you saw the Mayan temple and stuff like that. And it is weird, like because Xena and Gabs. I mean, if the show had gone on, I'm sure they would have found their way to other places somehow. But it was just like really cool to see them kind of in that area. And then of course I loved Russia, although I wish there was way more Russia than a house in the forest, which is a famous thing for Russians, but still.
Which is
Houses and forests.
Houses and forests,
so
man.
famous.
Oh,
That's all
what
there
Russia
there.
is.
Yeah.
what is the famousness?
The inclusion of the Baba Yaga story.
Yeah.
That was good.
And it was, again, kind of the feminist revisionist
Yeah.
history where Baba Yaga is not an evil witch, but a
sweet
good
lady.
a good witch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just like really upsetting how they were, wearing their normal outfits in all
Russia.
the
They did that
cold.
thing with the thing where there was a jacket but it was unbuttoned. I saw that. I was like, God, just give them some buttons. You know what's a little confusing to me was that like some of the art, the variant art had, I think it's important to note that
Oh, yeah.
Xena and Gabs in this are, Xena looks like is in her Xena clothes, but Gabs is in her Billy's green sports bra look with her long hair.
So what is that, season 3?
3, 4.
Yeah, and obviously Discord is around and the gods are all around, Zeus is around.
Right.
So it's
Right,
just
but
kind
Ares
of
has
this, like
season
tangent.
6 hair.
Right, Ares had season 6
Also a
hair.
weird face.
I think
Yeah.
these comics exist outside time,
I do
much as
too.
we do.
So and correct me if I'm wrong, the 2018 comics were meant to be like a rebooted version of the series, or like they start with Xena and Gab's meeting. So this is kind of like bonus stories or like tangent
Missing
stories
pieces.
or kind of thing, where you can kind of just slide it in to canon if you so choose. I forget where I was going.
You were
with
talking
this.
about the variant cover
yeah,
art.
and then there was just some that had Gabs in her season 5-6 outfit with her
I
short hair.
found myself really gravitating to that art. I thought she was really cute in art form.
Yeah.
With
Yeah.
her
But-
season
I was like, why
5,
is
6.
why,
But see, that's-
why is she
that's
here
my
with
question.
this outfit?
That's
I
my-
was confused.
See, I wish I knew more about how comics are done, because why is it that some of the cover, the alternate cover arts are so different than
Well, it's a different artist style.
Yeah, but
so.
why would they draw her in a season 5 and
don't
6
know.
when the whole thing is set specifically here?
I don't know.
Wondering.
Maybe just wanted to.
Well,
because for funsies.
The Rachel Scott ones that you mentioned, those variant covers are so good and very
Yeah, they're cool a
cinematic.
lot.
She really chooses these specific camera shots,
Right, you have that
really-
sense of scale more.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
one that's so good. It's Xena on the horse mid-run, and
Yeah,
it's,
that's the one I was talking about.
Oh, there's another one where she's pointing, the camera angle is you're looking
No,
up and
that's not
she's
the one
on the
I was
horse.
talking about. I mean, that was
with
cool
the
too,
horse,
but I was
with
talking
the
about
sword.
the half. You can't
Yeah.
see her face. You can only
That's
see half,
good.
the midsection of Argo.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's such a camera shot because it's
Yeah.
you don't want to show that it's the stunt woman writing it.
Yeah.
So you
So
you know what I
true.
mean?
That's really funny.
Well, speaking of stunt
yeah.
women, can we just quickly
Oh, the
pimp?
Sidebar,
Yeah.
Sidebar,
Holy
yes.
poop, guys! I don't know if maybe you've seen a while ago, there was a video going around with all these stuntmen kind of fucking around with each other via a cool
Through
edit.
Zoom.
Yeah. But Zoe Bell, being the awesome stunt lady she is, was like, let's make a lady version of this, and let's make it be way better.
It's very noticeable that in the original Stuntmen one, it's all men, except for, I think,
There's like
one woman who like gets, like, starts off, like, the little scene, and then, like, kind of gets shoved out of the way by a guy. So I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Great.
So thank you, Zoe Bell. She made this fantastic video with, like, all her friends and, you know, appearances by the casts of movies that have very high female stunt work, you know, like Death Proof and
Charlie's Angels.
And
Birds of Prey.
Birds of Prey. Yeah, there you go.
And obviously Black Widow.
Oh, yes, of course. Yes.
Yeah, so it's very good, highly recommended, and a little appearance by one Miss Lucy Lawless.
And Miss Lucy Lawless's chakram.
Yeah, her personal chakra that
And
we
I-
don't know what she has.
I love how she calls her Zozo.
Yeah,
That's adorable.
so cute.
It's really good.
I
love it.
I love them and their relation.
Yeah,
It
so
is so
cute.
sweet. So
They're
yeah,
the
that was
best.
our like little sidebar.
Yeah. So let's just talk about like what people want us to talk about, which is why we saw so many panels from this prior to actually reading it, and why I think there is a genuine outpouring of love for this particular comic. I think you guys might guess.
One guess.
Well, they love Discord.
Yeah,
They love
Discord.
capybaras, which are
Capybaras.
very cute.
Follows them
gonna say.
around.
Mainly, they love Strife. Who also all my favorite characters are in this, guys. Strife
There was
and
like
Discord.
it's kind of a spoiler for like the ending of the comic. So like if you
Spoiler
don't want to be
warning.
spoiled
Skip
for
a
the
minute.
ending, I don't think it's that interesting of a spoiler. It's part of why I'm bringing it up. But the fact that Strife turned out to be like behind Discord's whole thing with that village, like I was like kind of offended for Discord. I was like, let Discord have done a bad thing. Like the fact that they don't even allow her to kind of
Yeah.
like even have a redemption arc, because it turns out she wasn't responsible for her own mistake. I found that
I know.
actually kind of lazy storytelling. Okay. Spoiler over.
Spoiler over. Spoiler
yeah.
over.
And I say this as someone who doesn't even really like care about Discord as a
I mean,
character.
she's certainly fun, and she's certainly in the best episode of Xena.
Right.
Of all time,
I
Married with Fish
only
Sticks.
care about her in Married
Sticks.
with Fish
Well,
Sticks.
she's a completely different, type of character
Yeah.
there. And notice Strife is not there.
Yes.
And
And
I don't
it's
know.
better.
Like, yeah, I saw it and I was like, oh my god, this is like a random season, or like early Xena type of episode that I'm reading here.
It's true. I feel like the heavy presence of the gods.
But not even like the gods that you want to see. Why are these fuckers from
Where's
Hercules
Artemis?
here?
I want a comic about Artemis.
Really, seriously, where is she?
I liked, she wasn't in it very much, but I liked Aphrodite's voice in it.
She was great. She was like
cute.
Aphrodite.
Yeah, she was distinctive. And I think that's actually one of my other criticisms, is that I felt like Discord, like I didn't really hear her voice in the writing for
I
the
heard it.
character here.
Yeah.
To me, it felt a little like Aphrodite light. Maybe
Oh,
that's
they're
what
the same. That's why they
Discord
fight.
is.
That's why they fight in fish sticks. That's why they're friends later
But it
at
kind
the
of
club.
just made me want Aphrodite there instead.
Well, I mean, we already had that episode.
I know.
So you
and we've
can't have-
obviously had the Ares episode
Yep, so all
where
those-
he's depowered hanging out with Xena
Yeah.
and Gabs against his will. So for this one,
Yeah.
where it's the same plot, like, yeah, you have to pick a new character to do it.
Yeah.
And Discord. Yay.
I mean, I wonder if that's why, did the writer, did they think that, like, yeah, we gotta do this because we had an episode with Aphrodite and an episode with Ares. Who's left? Who's been on the show?
Who's kind of
Discord.
She's a fun, she has a
Yeah.
fun presence, so I can see why.
But I
You
just
might
felt,
hone in.
I felt personally offended when I saw, like, not only is it Discord, but it's also fucking Strife. Like,
really
I
hate Strife.
him. Oh, God. So
I guess,
anyway.
I mean, this is something
Can't
that's...
wait to read the Virgil comic.
What?
you know someone's going to
Oh my
make
God,
it
I thought it was real.
just for you, Vera.
I really loved the letters and how they did the voice, not the voice of Strife, but like the Ariana Mayer did the lettering, was because he's such a goth. He wears all black, and his letters were like the white on black bubble.
Yeah, that was
really
cool. I think also the font for Discord was different from the
they do
Mortals.
that stuff.
Yeah, these like subtle little things, which I'm sure is like like how comics work.
Yeah,
I was impressed.
We who do not know
as
comics.
a non-comics reader, I was like, oh, look at that.
And whenever somebody speaks in a different language, it says like, in little brackets, like in the language of
I appreciated that they weren't like they're
times.
Speaking gibberish. They were like it was always very respectful about the cultures being represented. Yeah.
But anyway, we were talking about the good thing here, which the real thing that people want from this comic.
Real bad,
yes, and it's not all the things we talked about just now
from this program and these characters.
It's the
what happened?
The kisses.
Oh my god. So the panels that we saw that we probably shouldn't have on the internet, basically you have your basic like Xena Gabs getting ready to do something in a village, what have you. And they sometimes stay in a tavern or wherever. Except this time they're just like sleeping in the same bed together in the tavern
while wearing like t-shirts.
Yep.
That was
little t-shirts.
Yeah.
Bedtime.
There were some snuggles. There's some snugglies.
Nothing that I feel we hadn't really. I mean, I guess it was in one bed.
Right.
Though they sleep quite near each other on the ground.
Yeah.
In the
in
show.
one bedroll, I think.
And there was that one episode with the cuddles.
The snuggles. So the snuggles in this panel were reminiscent of the like Joxer's dead comfort snuggle, and been there, done that, right down to the top of the head kiss. So I found that to be not something I hadn't seen before. However, it was very nice to see this, like, oh, they're just in the hotel room in the one bed, because, like, you get to season 6 sometimes, and you're in the fucking Ring trilogy, and they're in the tavern,
2 beds.
And, like,
not
Lucy
even taking
and
off their boots.
Fully
Lucy
dressed.
and Rickying like they're in the 50s.
Exactly.
Like, what the fuck? However, then just throughout, I think, was there more than once? I think it's more than once. At the very end, and maybe one more time in the middle.
I didn't even notice the middle time.
Oh, maybe it wasn't.
There was like multiple times.
I think there was one in the middle. Wow. But like just kissing and being cute, just being like, we're together. I love you, kissing.
Yeah.
And adorable.
Yeah, and then Discord like talks about them like they're a couple,
right? Yeah.
And it's just mentioned.
That's part of, I think, why she's so annoyed to be hanging out with them. She's like the third wheel.
Spoilers, I guess. They're kissing all over this comic. I'll just do the big ending, too. It ends with them going off, Xena surprising Gabs, taking her off to, like, a hot springs land where they're just going to go, hang out in the hot springs, their favorite place. Do some splish splash. It's just like very a lot of I love yous and a lot of smooching right on the lips.
Yeah, it's like the big final panel
on the horse, which is really nice.
Cute.
It's really nice to see. I do agree. It is very cool. And I did see a lot of at the time, like people pointing to this comic and kind of going, this comic has canonized this couple. They're together for facts. Because you can't look at that and, misinterpret it. It's text. It's not subtext in any particular way. And that's really cool. For me, like, I get way more from the show than I do from something like this. So, like I don't need a comic or, like, an extra material to tell me that they're canon. So I did see a lot of that, and that's just not my thing. Personally. Right. But it is really cool, and I do think that, like, if there's ever a reboot, it's kind of like what people want to see in the reboot. It's like this, like, unequivocal, no subtext arguments whatsoever thing. So I can see why a lot of people were, like, very happy to kind of see this comic. I guess the other comics haven't done that, so just kind of unequivocally be like, look at these two together at this point in the middle of the show. This is how they're actually behaving.
Yeah, it's just interesting because, like, for us, like, we so unequivocally believe that they're together in the show.
I know, just
you just like forget that it's like not legit.
It is legit. There's nothing to forget.
Yeah. So like, it's.
Yeah, I mean, and so, like, I I have a harder time like emotionally connecting to a comic book form of that than I just do like the show doing what it's doing already. But I appreciate the comic doing it.
I also appreciate the comic doing it.
Yeah, and I think, it's an important step for Xena, the property, to have this run where it's just a fact.
For sure. I just don't understand why it happened in like this Discord random episode.
The Discord random episode.
But isn't that so Xena to have like a really random plot line and then be like, hey.
I have a question. So like, for you guys, I feel like I know the answer to this, so I'm just saying it for like conversation's sake, like, do you think stuff like this is canon?
I don't.
Or is it canon just if you like it? You're like, that's my head canon?
Like,
I think I'll throw this out there. Like, so, like, just a big, huge example I think everybody can be familiar with is, like, Star Wars.
Oh, okay.
Star Wars had, for the longest time before the sequel trilogy, like an extended universe of books, comics, whatever the fuck. Like Xena as well had books, like, and comics that existed. And then when the sequel trilogy came out, of course, as we all know, it was owned by Disney now, and then they came out with their extended material of books and comics.
And classified the earlier extended material as not canon.
That's not canon.
They decanonized it.
So they, like, basically, like, what is it called? Man, I'm really off my memories
with
today.
Like the original EU.
They call it something like
like legends.
Something like that. And all of that new stuff to me, like, especially if I like it, is part of the canon of Star Wars. But I think you can still look at it if you want to and be like, it's not part of this, so...
Yeah, but the new stuff, we're getting movies around it.
Yeah.
Therefore, it proves that everything else is supplemental.
Etc.
Yeah.
To some people, the TV, like the movies supplement the TV, and the TV is like the main thing. So, like, I feel like that's an example of somewhere where it's easier to point at it and be like, this is canon because the company that makes it says it is. Versus something like this, which is like an extraneous material that's like kind of like doesn't have the involvement of the people who made the show like at all.
What about Buffy season 8?
Yeah, didn't that have like a Joss blessing?
Did it?
Probably at some point, but at the same
so.
time, if they do ever do some kind of reunion episode of the show, I'm sure they won't reference a single thing that happened in those comics.
I was like, no.
But like aside from Star Wars, I can't think of like another thing where like I find like that to be like a canon. Like I would never really look at it and go like, yeah, this also happened.
Probably all the Star Treks and whatever
have like
because they have the
supplemental
same
media.
They have so much.
I
don't know it, but like they have a lot on their
There's
side.
Voyager ones that I am curious about.
The only thing I can think of, again, it kind of just depends what your fandoms are, but like Harry Potter for me, like I don't consider Cursed Child canon.
Right.
I'm sure a lot of people do, but I don't.
Whoa. Yeah, because you know what? It's a
from-
fucking play, right?
Yeah.
And unless it's
But-
book for you, it doesn't work.
Does it have to be the main
It has
like source
I
material
think,
in order to be like? What's
I
your
think
feeling
the
on the
media
Star Wars?
is important. I do think like the way in like the format in which you bond with the thing kind of becomes the thing, and
the main thing. Yeah,
it can kind of be hard to be like, well, go see this play, and that's also the thing. I'm
Yeah.
like, well, maybe if the play were
but you know
good.
they're gonna, don't you think they're gonna adapt it to a movie?
I mean, I know they are.
So then-
Warner Brothers has the rights to it,
So
but
then
I
you're
still
gonna-
I don't consider the movies canon. If that's what you mean.
What?
For Harry Potter? No.
Right, you think the best Harry Potter adaptation is?
Oh my gosh! Well, yes, Star Kid.
Star Kid
a Harry
Potter.
Potter musical is canon,
See?
and nothing else.
Unless you like it.
But I mean, yeah, this whole idea of canon is really funny, and obviously comes from religious debates. And I feel like in religious debates too, it's like whatever you like,
We do worship Xena.
whatever resonates with your faith becomes canon for you.
Oh my
you know? You
goodness.
create
And I
your
mean,
canon.
I certainly canonically love them smooching on the horse.
But you also visually see it happening after the scene cuts.
When you were
on the
reading
show.
it, did you try and like picture the actors instead of the art? not to like say this is not about the art in any way. It's just like
I missed
a cognitive thing.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I was like actually like trying in my brain to picture them, but I was sort of like, I want to see Lucy's face reacting to this, you know? Yeah.
It's weird. I was just seeing, like, Xena and Gabs, but I was doing a really, like, this is part of my problem with comics, is that it's either, I can't do both at once. It's either the story first, or, like, just look at the art, you know, and do it visual. So it's like, I was just reading it, so I kept picturing it, like, the characters.
Oh, yeah.
I did have a criticism of the art, which I already told Vera, and she seemed to find hilarious, which is that I didn't feel that Xena, like, I felt like the Xena drawings throughout were, like, too femme.
That's fair.
I totally agree.
She was just really, like, willowy and not strong to me.
I don't know if it's, like, just you have to do it this way or what, and I completely understand that in the show she wears her breastplate, like, whatever, but it was just suddenly, like, I was like, oh, the boobs are bigger here.
Yeah.
Like,
and the
there's
muscles
just...
were smaller.
The muscles
I just
were
didn't get that
smaller.
sense of...
Less than normal arms.
You know,
Yeah.
towering toughness.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
you
feel
didn't
like-
feel her, like, height and, like, her presence.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
they didn't really look like them, but it doesn't mean, you know, it's not like... I'm not trying to criticize the drawing. It's just, to me, it was harder to, like, see the characters when their, like, faces don't look like their faces.
Yeah.
right. But they made Zeus really sexy, I thought.
You're into Zeus.
I liked him. In the comic.
He's got some kind of King Triton vibes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course. They had pointy fingernails, and I was really not about that.
Yup.
I was confused. But I loved the Hurt Comfort. There was some really nice Hurt Comfort, which we all know is my favorite.
Why was that happening?
She's got a cold.
Because she's dressed like that in Russia.
She didn't button her fucking jacket in the middle of the tundra wherever they were.
She had, like, straight up pneumonia.
Yeah, it was bad.
Right?
Good thing Baba
It's
Yaga
exciting.
could, like, fix her
I know.
with her stew or
It
whatever.
was not
Some
great. It
borscht,
was like
delicious
more than
borscht.
a cold. It was it was no good. And I enjoyed that because
Yeah.
I would.
Yeah,
That
I mean,
was
I
very
saw that.
good,
I was like, there, of
Mickey,
course,
like,
some good
very
ass
sweet,
Hurt Comfort
like
happening.
Xena carrying her around with her little cold.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so cute. I love that.
Yeah, and our other favorite thing, we should really talk about it. I mean, it's a serious thing. The capybara.
Oh, yeah.
Very serious.
The capybara was definitely my favorite character. New character introduced.
I mean, I did love the, like, it's one of my, it's like, it's the same thing. Ares and the dog in Old Ares Had a Farm. It's the same trope.
Yeah,
of, like, this is like, oh, I hate everything about humans or whatever. This stupid animal. Oh my God, I love you. Where are you going? You know, that thing.
And of course, it's really fun in comics to have, you know, all the little noises
Yeah.
that the capybara makes, and
cute.
like his reactions to all the action as
Oh
they're
my
running along. He's
goodness.
like, scream!
yeah.
So I this is an aspect of comics that I appreciate, is that you can really have nice animal action,
Yeah.
because the animals in comics behave so much better than the animal actors on a set.
Didn't we have harpies before in Xena?
We did, yes.
And but they here in the
They're
comic
very
they had,
different.
They had boobs.
Yeah, they had boobs and just a much more. They were
had-
scarier.
They had a
I thought.
creepy face.
This is another thing that I do appreciate about moving the show into a comics format, is that you can do the mythological creatures way more elaborately.
Yeah.
I appreciated the harpy and the
Minotaur.
when
yeah.
you see him.
Yeah.
Who-
I liked his
yeah.
snorts and everything he made, like little noises.
Who never appeared on Xena, and that's a cool character to see.
Speaking of animals that appeared on Xena, sort of, I enjoyed the Easter egg to the ROC bird thing.
That's right.
Which I felt must have been a shout out to the number one, of course, ROC, and then also what the same thing that they did in the animated Xena and Hercules movie.
What?
You remember we discussed it?
When Gabrielle turned into that bird?
But what was the shout
rock?
out?
A girl in the village at the beginning.
Oh, she turns into it?
No.
Oh.
She was like talking about one or drawing one.
Oh, that's cute.
With Gabrielle when Gabrielle was talking to her.
Oh, okay.
They're bonding
over the ROC.
Okay.
I went Easter eggs.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. I was like too involved in the main plot to fully appreciate it.
I also was waiting for like the Bacchae Easter egg in the Transylvania plot, and it oddly never quite went there. Maybe it was just so obvious that it didn't need to wink at you about that.
I mean, it only featured like, what is he? Like the dude vampire.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You have a different reference to Bacchae when Gabs is like telling the kids the scary story with the talking head. It's I guess maybe like setting up Transylvania now that I think about it.
Oh yeah.
But it was odd to me that when you actually get to the vampire, like, you know, actual vampires, no one's like, hey, it's like that one time.
Well, I really loved the actual, like, the beginning main plot. I wish that we could have, like, really truly explored it. Like, the concept of these villagers taking this deal with a god that not their children, to save their children from, like, a crazy plague, they promised away their grandchildren. Which, I don't know, I feel like that's rich that it should be, like, a whole thing
It's true.
in itself.
Yeah, I actually, it was a little bit of a whiplash, because I was interested in that original drama, and then when the second issue immediately kind of switches gears, I was really thrown.
Yeah.
Even though I get that, you know, Road Warrior, if that's not the story we're getting. But yeah, I don't feel like, again, slight spoilers, I guess, for the ending. I don't feel like they ever quite, brought that village back in a satisfying way.
No, they definitely didn't. Also, like, the concept, like, Road Warrior is not what I would call this, like, clearly Discord story.
Yeah.
She's not.
She's the main character.
She's the main character. It should have been like Road Bitch or something. Bitch.
Bitch. Yeah, let's see how that goes. Write that on the volume.
Road petulant fucking Discord bitch. No, but what I wanted to talk about is another like little moment that is totally normal, and you kind of like you read it and you don't kind of pick up the extreme awesomeness of it. It was that the lady magistrate of the village said her wife.
Yes, I know.
And it was just like, whoa, okay. Never mentioned again or whatever, just like offhand coolness. Yeah, they're all like warriors and stuff. I was like, oh, cool.
And it also feels worth mentioning that like the people behind this comic are like very diverse set of humans.
And queer. And it's really cool.
Queer, female artist, non-binary writer. Yes. Yeah, so I think you really see like that in mostly the details of the story, which was cool. Even though I definitely had my criticisms of it, I appreciated just the vision of kind of like what Xena can be in the hands of, you know, not white, not straight, not dudes,
dudes. Yep. Well, I think we covered this. I'm still staring at the main
really pretty.
The main art is just so fucking beautiful.
Yeah, and I would get that in a frame.
That is Xena.
Yeah, I agree.
Lucy had tweeted it too. I think she loves it as well. I saw her talking about it.
It's really special. Beautiful. Yeah, and it does sort of like it's her in front of the sun. It does sort of feel like a new day is dawning, like a new Xena for a new age.
I do like that it's also just like to that point that it's adding to. It's not trying to change the show.
Yes.
Like, I think it'd be interesting to go and read the other one that was sort of like a reboot, but in comic form. I'm not sure how I would feel about it. I would have to see. I like that you can kind of, like fic, like you can just slide it in.
Yep.
It definitely felt like fic.
Yeah.
Fic with pictures. Kind of, like when you're talking about alternate media, expanded universe, it's hard not to think about fic. Going back to Harry Potter, where one of the biggest criticisms of Half-Blood Prince when it came out is people were like, I've read better fics.
That's the thing, right? You can find a fic that you just get so fucking attached to and you believe it as canon.
Semi-canonized, it is
This is going to come up when we finally do our gigantic fic episodes that have been requested. Because it does. It affects you as a viewer.
And I suppose the comic will too, which could be have interesting implications if the reboot ever gets
Well,
off
we
the
know
ground.
one thing we know for a fact, I think, is that like whenever this reboot happens, like they will be a couple. Like there's no question about it.
Yeah.
Like that's the point of rebooting it.
No,
Like,
I really don't. Yeah.
That's 100% fact.
Like, if you're listening and you're worried, I really think that be more worried about it existing ever.
Yeah,
but
that's the main worry.
Yeah, that would be.
Though I still want a slow burn.
I still want a slow burn too. Yeah. That's our number one. We've said it before. Yeah.
Slow burn.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool. Well, it was really fun. It was really fun to read.
Yeah, thanks for making us read comics.
And it was very. That's the thing that kind of scares me about the fanfic requests is that like we have read some, but holy dear Bob, there is so much.
That one is also going to need a disclaimer.
And this was like, very...
Yeah.
He's like, here, read this thing. And it was like condensed story, very nice. We have gotten many fanfic recs across the years.
Which is very helpful for our studies.
Guys, just randomly, I remembered some other graphic novels that we've read, and because we're not that terrible, but didn't somebody here read Watchmen?
I did.
I did. Watchmen's
See?
great. Yeah,
there
Watchmen's great.
I think that might be the only real comic I've read other than like Saga, which I didn't finish, and hence
now I need to
feel like
that's like a real one because it won like huge awards.
Watchmen.
Yeah.
Well, it's
now we're going down a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Also 300, I flipped through that.
Oh my gosh. And also the show was great.
Watchmen the show, oh my god, yeah, HBO, guys.
But now, like, this is a rabbit hole because now I'm like thinking of other stuff. Like, I read Sandman.
Yeah,
yes,
right.
I think I
Sandman.
It's not like I don't.
Because Tori Amos mentioned it, so we gotta read it.
It's just like specific things that I like, and I kind of like the more independent like things or like one-off things.
Okay, now what about the even how I called it just now, like graphic novel versus comic book. Is like motion picture versus a movie.
I know, yeah, it's the whole thing. Sure.
Yeah. Thank you, Robin, for your patronage. And guys, I think we're done. So you can follow us on all the stuff and things.
ZeneWarriorPodcast.com, where you can find all the links to all the stuff. You can listen, download. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, where you can subscribe and rate and leave reviews. You can listen to podcasts wherever you listen to podcasts because it like pops up when you search, and there it is. Like, for instance, like Overcast, that's my one that I like the most. What else? We're on Twitter at Xena Warrior Pod, Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr, Xena Warrior Podcast. That's it. And Patreon, of course.
Yes.
Xena Warrior Podcast there as well.
The power.
The passion.
The podcast.